All right, everybody, here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Another live. It is National Have Fun at Work Day. And just wanted to do a quick live because a lot of people don't know about that. And I'm all about you should have fun at work every day. You don't necessarily need a holiday. But since it is National Have Fun at Work Day, I just want to use this time to give you some strategies to help you implement a more playful work environment. And if you were tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from. What's up, Steven? My buddy Stevie. He's an amazing graphic designer. Um, so let's get down to business. National Have Fun at Work Day. I know a number of people. They, have this mindset of the separation from work and play, and I think that is ridiculous because, as the quote says, the opposite of play isn't work. The opposite of play is depression. And when you create an environment where you can invoke more happiness, more joy, more fun, studies show that you actually get 51% less turnover and 12% increase in productivity. Show hands, how many people want that in their environment, whether you are a leader or a wannabe leader, up and coming leader, or just someone who is just on the front lines doing the good work. That is going to be something that is going to, keep you motivated, keep you happy. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is a really cool framework that will help you create that playful environment. Also, what are some games? What are some ways that you can be more playful, have more fun? I'm going to share some examples that I share with a lot of my clients and some examples that I found out in the wild. But before I do that, I'm going to share a quick news spot. I was featured on a local newscast out here in San Diego in 2018 about Have Fun at Work Day. So I'm going to share that really quick, and then we're going to talk about the playful rebellion. So let's get down to business.
This playtime isn't just for kids. Having fun at work can get you on the path to success.
Playtime with team building games improves confidence and communication skills. News 8's Ashley Jacobs is live in Oceanside, where the founder of Breakthrough is showing. It looks like some enthusiastic employees out on flags.
Hey, good morning. We are at Something Blue in Oceanside. Beautiful bridal boutique. But this morning, they're doing some team building exercises with the help of Gary. All right, Gary, come on. Can they keep the game going, or do they need you? They're good. Okay, so Gary, this is so cool. You think it's so important to introduce playtime to adults. Why so?
Well, because if you think about it, we work so hard. And most of the time people think, oh, work is not supposed to be fun. But if you remember when we were kids and we played, we were connected, we thought on our feet, and we were so creative. So I want to bring that back to adults and bring joy to their lives.
I love this. These people have been smiling since we walked in. And this game is also all about building great communication skills. I'm noticing eye contact, communication, planning. Tell me what's going on here.
Yeah, so in this game, they're playing a game called Whoosh Bong. And it is a silly game where you're passing an imaginary ball around the circle, but it's getting them to be present, thinking on their feet. Think about in a regular day, you can't plan everything. How are you going to be agile? And this game really teaches you to embrace failure and to just go with the flow.
Great. And I mean, working at a bridal boutique, I imagine these women work so hard around the clock. So don't go too far. I'm going to call Ginny over here. Let me peek through. I got to interrupt playtime. Ginny, I'm going to steal you. Why don't you step back into the game to take Ginny's spot? I imagine that your team is working so hard. I mean, you're dealing with brides. Everybody wants to make sure everything's perfect at all times. How cool to see them let loose.
So this is our busy season that we've just come into, and it's been a little bit stressful. It's the best kind of stressful though. We love our brides. We try to remember that it's a stressful time for them planning their wedding, and we want to take the difficulty out of it for them. So we love just having fun and just keeping things light.
Nice. Okay, Gary, I'm going to call you back in. This is a game of its own. Switch and play. Jenny, go ahead. Get back into the circle if you want, Jenny, or stay with us, whatever you feel like. So how can people learn more about your services? You go to the office and help people. You host retreats.
Yes,
What do you want people to know?
Yeah, so this upcoming Friday is
Hey. Alrighty then, I am back. Playmaster Gary here, ready to start the Playful Rebellion. Yes, I said Playful Rebellion because isn't it interesting that we are so serious at work? It's time to liven it up, and why not now on Have Fun at Work Day, where we start talking about this Playful Rebellion. So you young play rebels, I'm going to give you the tips so that you can evoke a more playful environment. If you were down with that, type in the comments. Let me know what you think. But the first thing, like I said, there is a framework. 4 simple steps. And the first step, it should go without saying, is that you need to give yourself permission to play. Permission to play, yes. Because we have this feeling that, oh, I can only play when the work is done. But imagine if you allowed yourself, I don't know, a few minutes here or there to stretch your legs, walk up, be a little bit playful, or maybe before a meeting, you do something to connect. I'll talk about the science behind that in just a moment. That is step 1 of creating a playful environment. Step 2 is all about the environment. If you have an environment where people don't feel like they can play, especially this goes out to you leaders out there, the leaders that sit at their lunch, at their desk during lunchtime, that stay later than anyone else. You may have those foosball tables, you may have all of those things. However, if people don't feel like they can play, if you do not have an environment that sparks playfulness, that sparks fun, people aren't going to play. I know the founder of Tatley and Creative Mornings, her name is Tina Roth Eisenberg. She has a swing in her office. Yes, I said that correctly, a swing. And she loves confetti. And so, at any moment, people can break out the confetti. And studies show that actually creates dopamine, that creates endorphins, all of those neurochemicals in your brain that is going to help you be more focused, be more connected, feel like you belong. The third one is find the fun. I believe Mary Poppins said it best. In every job that must be done, you find the job or find the fun and snap, the job is a game. So and this is how it is, with adulting and with work, some tasks are very tedious, and yes, we have to get them done. But imagine if we found the fun, created a game, maybe did something a little bit differently. Things will go by a little bit faster. You feel a little bit more engaged. That is like entry level. And then if you want to take it up to the next step, if you really want to invoke a really fun environment, you're going to have to do what is step number 4, is design joy moments. What I mean by that is, how can you be intentional with the playfulness? And I'm going to get into some examples there, but step number 4 is design joy moments. Want to check in with you. What do you think about all of that? Steve says we weren't always so uptight at work. You're absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, if you are on LinkedIn and seeing this, give Steve a big high five, a big shout out, because Steve is the guy that created the cool little logo that you see I think it's, nope, there, that way. So the next logical question is like, how do you do that? So I'm going to talk about some areas that typically are boring, that aren't a lot of fun, and talk about how you can make it more fun, especially because it is National Have Fun at Work Day. So the first one is meetings. Who likes meetings? Anyone? Anyone? Nope. Well, I get it. We have to have meetings. Not all meetings are as productive as they can be, but imagine this, and this is interesting because athletes, professional athletes, before they do their craft, what do? They warm up, they stretch out, they get their body in a situation where they can be their best. We jump into a meeting cold, not ready. So the first things first, and I learned this first thing from a good friend of mine, Mike Ganino. He is an amazing guy. If you don't know Mike, what's up, Mike? If you're watching this, he has an awesome podcast on storytelling, the mic drop moment. But he talks about being intentional with your meetings. What kind of meeting is it? So if you want to have more fun in meetings, the first thing that you need to do is let people know what kind of meeting this is. Is this a collaborative meeting? Is this a decision meeting? Is this a check-in meeting? So whoever's running the meeting needs to do that. And then the other thing is, as I alluded to earlier, what if you warmed up? If this needs to be a creative meeting, how about you get your creative juices flowing and start with a really cool activity? This is a simple activity that anybody can do, is what I like to call, this is something that it's not. And so it's 3 levels to the game. First level, you just walk around the space and you start pointing to things and you start saying what it is. Oh, that's a chair, that's a whiteboard, that's a screen. And you do that for about 30 seconds. Invite everyone to do it. Yes, it's going to look silly. And Joe in finance is probably not going to want to do it. But once he sees that everyone else is doing it, he's going to jump in. Then the next thing, round number 2, is you start by pointing to something and say something that it's not. So maybe you point to the chair and then you say, oh, that's a water bottle. And then you point to the next thing, say it's a whiteboard, and then you say what the previous thing was. So say you start, you point at the chair, you say, oh, that's a water bottle. Then you point to the whiteboard and you say that's a chair. And then you point to the screen and you say that's a whiteboard. And then the third round is you start pointing to everything and saying something that it's not. Oh, that is not a car. That's not a bush. That is not my mom. That's definitely not my mom. That is not a Chevy Focus. Chevy doesn't even make a Focus. Anyways, you do all 3 of those rounds. That'll probably take you maybe 3 minutes tops. Now, what this does, break it down, is it starts getting people thinking outside the box. It starts getting people to see things from a different perspective. It starts getting people warmed up so that they can create ideas. Our brain is a muscle. And if we don't warm up the brains, it's not going to work right. So what do you think about that? Leave me some comments real quick. Hi, Alyssa. She mentioned TDM could, forgive me, could also be meditative, which is also true. Could be fun. Yeah, when you're getting into those tedious tasks, researcher Mihai Csikszentmihalyi talked about getting into flow. And so this is also about the mindset. If you're like, oh my God, I have to deal with this tedious exercise or tedious thing, well, it's going to be boring. It's going to suck. But if you go into it, say, you know what? This is going to give me a chance to just get into the flow. You're going to have more fun. It's going to go by like that. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for that piece of feedback. What's up to everyone out there? Leave some comments. Let me know what you think of this material. So going into some other situations of creating these joy moments. I call all of this, by the way, purposeful play, because when you create moments where people can connect with each other and play, it's interesting what happens when you have intention. People start feeling like they belong. People in the learning and development space, this is not a new topic, but it's all about creating psychological safety. And the fastest way, in my opinion, to creating psychological safety is play, because when you play, you're being the true version of yourself. It's a very vulnerable experience. Animals out in the wild, they play, even though they know that it may cost them their life, but it is necessary for a number of things. So in a work environment, when you're allowing people to play in an intentional, safe way, people start feeling like they belong. Going to share something really cool. So maybe before a meeting, or maybe on a Friday afternoon or something like that, you break out some questions. There's all kinds of question cards out there, but one of the interesting things is that when you're just asking the same old questions, like, oh, how are you? What's your day like? The brain responds exactly the same because it's heard it over and over and over again. And so a good friend of mine, his name is Jan, he created these question cards called Ask Deep Questions. I'll put a link to all of this in the comments, so if you like them, you can go get them. It has 3 levels. It's curious, brave, and vulnerable. And so one of the things that I advise a lot of my clients to do is when you are in a meeting, just have these on standby, or just if you're just sitting around the water cooler, have a stack there, and then just pull one out. So I'm going to ask one to all of you, and if you want to leave your answer in the comments, I love to hear it. So, this is a perfect one. So what is one crucial ingredient for true happiness? I'm curious about what you think about that. I will talk about my answer in just a moment. Ask deep questions. Another thing is, what can you put around the office to help people, sort of release, sort of nervous energy and get focused? Here's some Aaron's Thinking Putty. I love that. They're in little containers. These things, they seem simple, but when you apply them in the right context, if you're intentional about them, it can do wonders. This is something that I advise all companies to have in their break room, have in their meeting room. So what are your thoughts on that, about creating these joy moments where people can have more fun? Quick story. I was running a workshop for a medical insurance company, Kaiser, out here on the West Coast. And we were doing this really fun game, and it was called Human Machine. And again, this game is a really cool thing that you can do, on Fridays or anything like that. I happen to do them in the team building workshops and trainings that I do. But the point of the game is this: you get a group of people, and one person steps into the center, and they must make a movement and a sound. Boop, boop. It can be anything. It doesn't matter. The next person steps in. They must connect to the previous person, another movement and sound, and so forth and so forth. And the whole point is to get everyone in making a movement, sound, movement, sound, movement, sound. And then the very last person, they step back, they look at this machine, and they say what machine it is. And in the world of improvisation, we say there are no mistakes. Everything's a gift. So whatever they say is completely correct. We're going to yes and that. We're going to accept this reality. And someone says, "Oh, that is the ice cream maker machine." All right, and then we all applaud, and we do it again and again and again. And then in the debrief of this silly game, there was this gal. She was like literally almost in tears. She said, "Wow, this game reminded me why I'm here." That's important to look at the bigger picture, because she was so zoomed in on her movement and sound, her contribution, and she forgot that she has to do her movement and sound, her contribution, for someone else to do theirs, and together they created something that one person couldn't do. And so that is the power of these types of games. But I tell you that, not just to say, oh, you should play, but it's interesting when you set some intention, behind it to create fun. Far too often, companies, like I said earlier, we have ping pong tables, we do happy hour. That's fine and all. But after the happy hour is over, do you feel even more connected? You might, but it's not always the case. But what if you did something that does create joy and can help people connect better, learn better, be more creative? That's what I'm talking about. And at that event, and this is my last little tip for all of you, is that they created an agreement that if it all felt kind of drab, that someone had permission to ring this little cowbell and call a mandatory recess. And in that moment, everyone has to get up and do something. It could be as simple as a dance party or just walk around giving high fives. All of that is in service of helping people feel like they belong. Because isn't it interesting? We spend more than 23% of our week at work. Shouldn't we enjoy it a bit more? So that's all I got. I'm going to look down to see, are there any sort of comments on that before I jump off for today? Thank you, Don. Talking about, I'll just put this up on the screen. As adults, we forget how to play, and that's how we burn out. Exactly. And she mentioned something concepts. I don't know if that is a game, concepts. If you are mentioning the game concepts, that is an amazing, fun game. I highly advise everyone to go out and get it. I might do a review on some really cool board games and how you can use this in a business context to help you learn more about yourself and your employees. So I'm going to leave by answering this question right here on what is one crucial ingredient for true happiness. I like to say I want to say there has to be some sort of purpose involved. What is the purpose? What is your purpose? Like, for example, I think it was in 2016, I set out to run 3 half marathons. I had never run a half marathon before that, but I was going to run 3. And it was challenging. Don't get me wrong. Like, there were moments where I'm like, oh my gosh. However, when I would finish that training run, I would feel so amazing. And when I finished that first half marathon, I felt awesome. And when I finished the third one and I got the Triple Crown and got my 3rd medal, I felt so amazing. And so it wasn't always easy, but because I had purpose, where I had intention behind it, it felt good. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you're doing something amazing to have more fun at work, whether you're just doing it yourself or even better yet, you're getting some playmates and bringing some other coworkers in. I appreciate you all. Have an amazing day. I will be back with more of these. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye, and may the force be with you.